Hey guys, Philip with Trade Genius, and welcome to another binary option update. This is for the evening of July 26th. Wanted to go over kind of what we are looking at going into the Thursday session. As you know, today we had our Fed minutes, and it looks to me that we probably aren't going to see any more hikes for the rest of the year. I think they've got inflation worries over at the Fed, so that's what it looks like to me. The dollar was down on the announcement. It was dollar negative, so the different dollar crosses on the FX that we look at on the Nadex pairs were all down pretty good after the announcement. So wanted to look at some charts and just kind of give a review as we get into tomorrow's session for Thursday. So let's take a look. First thing I wanted to look at was the oil chart, because we did take a weekly short on that, and you guys can see what we were looking at on that. So if we check out the oil chart, this line here represents the 48.75 strike that we faded, and if we zoom out, come on, here we go. Okay, if we zoom out, as you can see, that is right up against this Head and Shoulders top. So there's a good bunch of resistance here that it ran up into. Plus, we've had 3 moves. So a lot of times you'll see when you have like a quote-unquote wave, one wave, you'll see 3 pushes in it. Sometimes you'll see 3 pushes within a push. So we have that. We also have, if you look, we have a negative, or I should say a bearish divergence. Now, you can see here what I'm talking about. This is an oscillator. It's kind of a combination of different oscillators, but you can see we got a bearish divergence because we're making a new high, but the oscillator isn't. All right, so that's an indication of a pullback, and then sure enough, you see a pullback. In this case, we're looking at 47 down to, so about $2 pullback. Here we've got a really good one where you can see it's rolling over, and we're running out of steam here. So what I'm looking for is probably a move down to this 47.45 area, and we'll see how it interacts there, and we may take profit on that. But that's our weekly play, and so far looks like, to me, it looks like we're ready to this thing to roll over. We'll see what happens in the next 24 hours or so, and we'll manage it from there. So that's what's going on with that oil position. As far as ES goes, and this will go for most other of the stock indices, not a whole, this is very typical what we see during the week, right? We see chop up and down, and then we'll get a move to another level higher, it seems like. So again, it's like I was saying, if we get away from settlement at all, what happens is price tends to want to fall back to it, and that's just kind of the MO. And if you get any kind of correction, you might as well just buy some calls. Like if we get corrections to the downside, it's buy some calls 2-3 weeks out, and it's like that's just been an ATM machine basically. A lot of, at this point, you just have to know the Fed is just coddling the market, and I think they're worried about market corrections. There's still a lot of leverage out there, so it's an issue. But the other thing now I think that we're running into is inflation. So if you're in a hyperinflation environment, your stock indexes will go up, or stock indices will go up, and even though the value is declining. So that's another scenario that we may just be seeing. So anyway, we just trade the charts because that's all you can really do. When you're dealing with market manipulation, who knows, right? It's not a free market, and that's what I kind of like about cryptocurrencies, is because it is a free market. It's more human psychology, so things tend to work better. Support resistance, fibs, technical indicators tend to work really well right now in this market. So anyway, okay, so that's the ES. Again, the levels we went over in the previous video are still in play. I do think this runs to 2,500, whether that's by the end of the month or by the end of August, I should say, or middle of August, somewhere in there. It's only 25 ES points away, so Wouldn't be surprised to see that in the next week or two, to be honest. All right, let's take a look at our FX. So we're going to switch to these charts. Okay, so this is now Aussie dollar is like smoking out of the magic channel. Now this is our wide channel, so this is not common to see this. So we may be taking a fade on the Aussie dollar. I need to look at that a little bit more closely because this really started ramping here in the last hour or so. Let's take a look at that. Again, Aussie, it's not just the US dollar thing. The Aussie's moving against the yen too. So we may have a play on that Aussie yen cross as well. As for anything else, the pound dollar also looks like it might be setting up. But you know, we're gonna have some strength against the dollar. So we'll see. But so basically, pound yen or pound dollar, Aussie yen, Aussie dollar are possible setups in the next 24 hours or less. Okay, let's take a look at where we are on our channels for the daily indices. ES and most of the you know, Russell, the Qs, you know, all that stuff is basically still here in this channel. So if we do get a push up above this level, this 2480 level, up to this 2480 85 plus area, I think that's definitely good for a fade. You'll probably see a move like here or up to here and down. I expect to see a move like this here. Okay, so if we look at the yield curve ratio versus ES, I don't see anything here indicating any kind of warning signal like we had back here. Sometimes this will resolve where the bonds will actually resolve upwards. That's the minority of the time that happens. It did happen this time, but I don't see any warning flags for like a 10-point correction or anything like that on the ES. So nothing really going on as far as that indicator goes. Let's take a look at the commodities. Gold getting, you know, I said this is kind of a buy the dip week. Silver, I'm kind of bummed we didn't get filled on silver, but it happens. And so now we're starting to get a little toppy on these channels. It could be good for catching a breather on this move. So we may see a fade on that actually. But I do think metals are overall in the next couple of weeks heading higher. And that's kind of it for the commodity stuff right now. Again, oil we're short, not real toppy in the channel, but for technical reasons I think it has a move to the downside coming. Let's see VIX. Let's take a look at VIX and then I'll wrap it up. Again, VIX is just, you know, we're making historic lows here. Now we did get a tick up here, but I remember we talked about having you know, a spike. You know, it's been spiking at regular intervals, and we might see one here in the next 2 trading days maybe. So something to keep in mind. And the reason is just sometimes you just get these cyclical moves, and being that the environment is more or less the same over the last few days, weeks, months, wouldn't be surprised to see another one like that. You'll see them come in intervals when things are set up like that. So, and then over here we have our volatility indices, and nothing's really changed from the last time we looked at those. Pretty much where we want them as far as Nadex goes. Let's see, we didn't have anything on Nadex today because of the announcement. The day before yesterday was a mixed bag. We had a couple commodity plays that didn't pan out, but then ES worked, and then we had 2 FX plays that worked on the euro. The FX high probability plays have been doing really well, so we're going to keep those coming. That's it for now. So again, looking at a few things setting up at the money on the Forex side of things on those 3 pairs, and we're in that oil short that looks to be rolling over. So that's it for now. If you're in the room, we'll catch you in there tomorrow, and have a great trading day on Thursday. Take care, guys. Bye.